Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with Jay Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me again. Forgive me if you noticed I was adjusting my volume right there when we got started. My voice is definitely lower today. I just got back from cheering on Emma and the JMU Dukes as she marches with them in the color guard. We had a great time yesterday at the game. They won just massively, like 63-7. We got to see them warm up on the quad. We got to see them pregame. We watched them march at the halftime show, and then afterwards, the parents get another performance of the halftime show and a little bit more, just an opportunity to get down on the field with the kids, which is pretty amazing. And then we took her and some friends out to eat, and then we got home. So, what a wonderful, huge, massive 15-hour day. And so I usually try to record before the day of publishing, but today is Sunday and I am a little bit more casual. Still drinking my coffee. Today is National Coffee Day. And you know what? I've got thoughts on National Coffee Day. Now, I'm sure the coffee merchant sellers of America created National Coffee Day, but I think they made a mistake. And today's Sunday, and I just don't think everyone is out buying coffee on a Sunday. I think it's a lighter merchant day. I think someone should have gone with last Monday in September kind of thing instead of September 29th. I think it would definitely raise coffee sales because Capitalize at times for National Coffee Day has gone to multiple coffee shops and purchased like an entire hour, like, hey, the coffee for the next hour is paid for by Capitalize. We've done that a couple of times, but we're not doing that today. I mean, we just, I'm not even out and about really, and other people aren't out and about. And so, hey, National Coffee Seller Merchants Association Federation Conglomerate of America, I say, hey, let's go with last Monday in September instead of September 9th. Just my slight marketing advice to those guys. So a little bit different today. In fact, brand new, something we're going to do brand new today because it's faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. And woven into all of this, especially with as we talk about health and how that relates to everything in my epilepsy journey and my running. That's the fitness portion of the faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. I was thinking today, I was out doing a very slow run. Often my Sunday runs have no pace, so they're a little bit more casual. And I was listening to someone who apparently is a massive YouTube TikTok star named Mr. Bolin. I was not familiar with him. I should be probably. And he tells not quirky, he tells supernatural what ifs, people got lost in the woods and things kind of happen stories. I'm not familiar with him. I'm just now starting to learn who he was. And he tells how his first video went viral. And listen, I love a good true crime, unsolved mystery person just as much as the next person. But there's not really anything along those lines that are, I think, quite yet I would start a podcast with. I've played around with a few things out there, but I haven't launched one yet. But I seemingly have a countless number of injury stories. I've been injured, broken bones, broken noses, stitches, knocked unconscious, car crashes. If I sat down to write them all down, and I probably will one day, 3 or 4 dozen. It's amazing. People ask me, like, how did you break your nose 8 times? And I just say, well, I had a lot of energy as a kid or something like that. And so, but one particular story I don't think I've ever told. And I thought, well, should I share these stories and what would be the purpose? Well, one, I would like to share some of the stories that I think contributed to my left frontal lobe damage and led to my epilepsy. And these stories are not going to end with and then this is what I discovered. They're just going to be stories along my way. But when I was officially diagnosed with epilepsy, the doctors could see left frontal lobe damage, and that's the cause of my seizures. And so then they go, well, did you sustain any brain injuries when you were a kid? And I'm like, yeah, I broke my nose at that point in time, initially 7 times. I was knocked unconscious that I can remember 3 times, multiple concussions. But I also had some brain injuries as an adult. And so I thought I would share a story. And again, quite honestly, you shouldn't do this in a podcast. I'm not sure where this story is going to lead us. And I'm not quite sure what the ending, the denouement is going to be to bring us to resolution. But I just thought I would share it. When I was a teacher, I was a teacher, I was 23, 24. This is probably 1994, somewhere in here. So 23, 24, 25. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I can fully tell this story correctly. My memory probably is going to fault me a little bit on it. But I taught at an alternative school. And to get to my school, you had to have been expelled or on the verge of being expelled from traditional public school. And I think the school system created our school to help with the dropout rate and then help some kids graduate who might not otherwise graduate. And I loved it. I really did. And so I graduated oddly. I graduated in December. And so I started teaching there in January. And my first day of teaching was actually the first day the school was open. We didn't even have enough textbooks for all the students. And so this story is the following year. So that's why it makes me think it was fall of 94 or spring of 95. I'm thinking fall of 94. And there was a small school, only about 75 students. And I remember four of us were going to, four of us teachers, and there were only 4 or 5 teachers total. I think there were 4 of us. We were going to a staff training day. It was a day off for the kids. And the teachers were all for the whole county were getting together. So the 4 of us all rode together. And the science teacher was driving, and in the passenger side was the math teacher. To the left of me was the social studies history teacher, and then I was sitting in the far back right, far back passenger side. And we went and did the training, and it went pretty well. And then we were on the way back to the school where we could all get in our cars and go home. And it was a Jeep Cherokee, gives you a sense of size of our car. And as we were driving, everything went into slow motion. A deer ran out in front of us. I mean, maybe it was a dog. I think it was a dog, maybe. You can see my memory's a little bit fuzzy on this. And the driver swerved to save the animal. And we had a head-on collision with a paint van. Just full on, maybe 45 miles per hour, a head-on collision with a paint van. Paint explode. It was like a paint bomb went off. And I remember saying something right before the head-on collision, like trying to get the driver's attention. And then next thing you know, we're post-accident. And the driver, she had hit her head so hard on the steering wheel, she had gone temporarily blind. The passenger on the front, I don't remember her immediate condition, but I believe she had a broken leg. The passenger beside me, the history social studies teacher, was going in and out of consciousness. And my face was bloody. Now, I think what had happened was that I hit my face, my forehead and my nose on the seat in front of me. And we were in seatbelts. And I think it had just caused a cut in my nose, my head. And honestly, looking at it, I was probably better off than everyone else. But I did a full head into the passenger seat, and maybe I just had a lap belt on. Back then they only had lap belts in the back seats in 94 or so I mean, I had hit it really hard. And again, the driver is understandably partially hysterical. She can't see. And there was glass, and the passenger is in a lot of pain. I'm trying to help the guy beside me stay awake. He's in and out of consciousness, and I'm bloody. And I don't remember how, but the the paramedics arrived, and when they arrived, they came and found me first. Now, I think the reason they came to me first is I was bloody. I was the one who looked the worst, but in reality, I was doing much better, than everyone else. I mean, I was in good shape comparatively because I just had some facial abrasions. My friend here is nearly unconscious. We've got broken bones, and again, we've got the front driver who's temporarily blind. The next thing I remember, I guess I just went unconscious, because the next thing I remember was waking up in the hospital and some movement around me, people checking on me. And then I remember waking up again and my parents were there. So I don't know how they did that. Maybe, I mean, I doubt I would have had any identification on me for my parents, but maybe the paperwork I filled out when I became a teacher was like, who's my emergency contact information? But for my parents to get there means that they took me to the hospital, which was probably about a 30-minute drive because we were on a country road. I was in and out of consciousness. They contacted my parents. My parents drove an hour to get there. I was probably unconscious for an hour or two. Maybe it was just the shock of the accident. And my parents are telling me, and they're like, hey, you're okay. I'm sure I had a concussion. I don't remember if I had been officially diagnosed with a concussion, but I hit that seat really, really hard. And my parents stayed with me and they helped me get home. And I just went to sleep. I mean, I just slept so much. I didn't break any bones, nothing like that. And maybe the next day or so, like I missed a couple of days of work. I remember my friend, the history teacher, went back to work quickly. He was the one who was in and out of consciousness. I was very worried for him. The math teacher was on crutches, but a couple of days later, I went to see my friend, who was the driver, the science teacher, and she had massive black eyes, massive. I mean, understandably, but she could see, and she felt a lot of remorse for the accident. And the best I can remember was just trying to reassure her, hey, we're all okay. It's totally okay. But I missed a couple of days of work. Now that's the story. Um, if I keep telling these brain injury stories or these injury stories, you're not going to believe how many of them just keep stacking up. But funny, as a teacher, in my first 2 years of teaching, I was knocked unconscious. I got chicken pox as an adult, an awful experience, and had to miss, days of work. Like initially as a teacher, I had a lot of like time that I had to be away. But the funny thing is with that car crash, I just kind of threw it in there. The broken noses, being knocked unconscious. I have a story later on where I split my head open. Like I just threw it in there with all the head injuries. And this one I had nothing. It was not my fault. There's nothing I could have done. I didn't contribute to it. It was my fault. It's just one of those things that happened, but continued to play a part of head injury after head injury after head injury. And I'm more cognizant these days than ever about my brain health, because in my epilepsy journey, I mean, I'm in my young 50s, and I want a healthy brain. I take brain meds every single day. I want to make sure that as I get older, I don't suffer from other conditions that might be related to something like this, or even long-term effects of my medicine. When I went on my brain meds, it was a brand new medicine. Insurance didn't even cover it. And so, I've asked my doctors, like, hey, what's the long-term effect of this medicine? They're like, oh, you're going to be fine. And then I told them, well, I guess I'll tell you, because the first year the medicine came out, I came on it. So I will tell you what the long-term effects of this medicine are, because I'm the person who's been on it the longest. I'm sure other people have it. I've never singularly met anybody who takes my meds. And so brain health in terms of keeping my brain active, doing brain activities, my physical health. I try to be in peak physical health the best I can. That's my running, the way I eat. All of those things are incredibly important to me. And friends, I'm going to tell you, if you've ever had a brain injury of any sort, if you've ever been knocked unconscious, or you've been in a car crash where you hit your head, or anything along those lines, please, please, please pursue brain health. Brain health is reducing heavy sugars. Your brain does not like sugar in any way. Reducing heavy bready carbs. Your brain does not like that in any way. The Atkins diet that was the craze in the 2000s for people losing weight was actually created to help epileptics, because the brain hates sugar. And then when people went on it to help their epilepsy, they realized that they were losing weight. So I'm not even recommending that diet. I'm just saying put yourself in a disciplined approach. Because if you say, oh, I had a seizure when I was a kid, I've never had another one, or oh, I got knocked unconscious one time, or I had a brain injury, it's never affected me. Guys, I didn't start having seizures until I was 42. Until I was 42. And my first known brain injury that I can think of was like 4 or 5. And the story I'm telling you was when I was 24 or 25. And then a trauma-based trigger is what triggered my epilepsy when my parents died within 4 months. And so, guys, I tell you the story in part because it's just part of my journey, but it allows me to get an opportunity to speak to brain health, brain injury awareness, and then also being mindful. So take care of yourself. If you think, oh, that I'm never going to have a problem with that, nothing's ever happened with it, I'm very thankful for you, but I want you to pursue brain health. So tell me what you think. There's not a big aha at the ending of the story. It's just one of the many brain injuries and injuries that I've had that I'm just sharing the story of. As far as I know, I've never known anyone else who was in that car accident to have any long-term brain injuries. I'm out of contact with that wonderful group of people. Definitely feel bonded to them for the time that we had together. I could message them on Facebook, and I'm sure they would message back, and we would say, hey. But friends, I hope you're doing well. Please take care of yourself, and let me know. But when we talk about brain injuries and brain health, I want you to definitely take care of yourself. So, friends, thanks for tuning in. If you like this kind of content, let me know, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye bye.